Hey, hello everyone, it's me again. Welcome to my channel. Um, I have a project here at home, and it's actually my wife's car. I did an oil change yesterday, and sadly I found a broken part. It's the driver's side axle, CV axle, and the boots are torn, and I'm afraid it's on its last leg. So I'm going to replace it, and let me show you what it looks like. Alright. That is what I'm going to replace, and let's open up this box so you guys can see the actual part. So that's the part that I'm going to put in this car. Yeah, it's quite heavy. It's a bit huge. And here are my parts that I might possibly need. So there. Got my safety glasses on. Make sure you always have that when you're working on your car. And so it's on the driver's side, which is this side. So I'm about to take this wheel off, jack the car. So be with you in a sec. Let me just jack it up and move on from there. All right. So I'm back. So as you can see, I got the car jacked up. For safety, and I have here a impact gun. If you don't have any impact gun, release the bolts of the wheels while it's on the ground, because it's not gonna work removing the lugs when it's jacked up. All right, so take the wheels off. All right, so you don't have any tool. There are things that I recommend that you remove first or loosen while the wheel is on the ground, which is this side. The lugs, remove it, and then, loosen, not remove, okay? I'm sorry, erase that thought. Loosen the lugs, and then jack it up, and then remove it. So, one indication that my CV axle boot is torn is all that grease on the wheel. See? It's supposed to be brake dust, not grease. Now, let me show you my dilemma. See, alright. See if I can have. So, there. See that? Hello. How are you guys doing? But yep. So I have this special tool for Toyota. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this. That's the first thing I'm gonna remove. But before I do that, in case you're gonna have to reuse the nut, there is, see this guy? See how it's punched in? So loosen that first, and before you remove the nut. And when you reuse the nut and tighten it, then you gotta punch through to lock it. Alright, so in my case, since I have a impact gun, I don't do that anymore. But the trick is, I go tight first, have this nut move, and then loosen. Alright, my goal is for that punched area or the lock to bow out. So I'm gonna try to tighten the nut, so when it goes tight, it's gonna stretch, and then when I loosen it, it doesn't damage me. I need to use a 32 socket. Again, like I said, go tight first, then loosen. So that we're on the same page. You see how it bow out? So now I can loosen it. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Now, next piece I'm gonna take off is the brake calipers. So brake calipers have 2 bolts. Most models of brake calipers, and it's actually the same process when you're trying to replace the brake pads. So there's 2 bolts in there. Alright, right here. So there's one, and then down here. So remove those 2 bolts. So when you're replacing the brake pads, another trick that I do is I set it up that way, not all the way out, just a little, and I'm gonna pry it, because the reason why I'm gonna pry it is you're supposed to push this piston in when you're putting a new pads, because the new pads are thick, and if you put it without pressing this in, this will not fit in here properly. So can you see now? See how it's flushed in? Then that's actually how you do your brake pads. See? This is your brake pads. Take this up, put a new one in. Snap the new one in. But in this case, I don't need to take that up. If it falls off, then so be it. My goal, my next step is to remove those 2 bolts. Those 2 big bolts. Right? To remove those 2 bolts. You might ask, why did I turn the wheel? Good question. I'll show you later. But now, you just better. So, move those bolts. Here and there. No. So the reason why I turned the wheel that way is to, so that when I remove this, it will give me room, see, to remove the actual axle. So there he is, at least the first half of the job. But we will now move on to the next part, which is separating this from the transmission. And for that, we are gonna need a pry bar to just pry it out. Now I'm gonna see and try if I can do it. See if I can set up a flashlight there. Alright, I'll show you what we're looking at. So right there is the other half of the axle, and my job is to stick a pry bar and pry it out. See if that works. Alright, see if I can set up the camera. Yep. Wasn't too bad. And there she is. And look how badly torn that is. So this is supposed to be filled with grease. Now over time, when this gets torn and as it spins, this is how it actually spins. And that's how you lose all the grease going round and round, and that's why, as you can see, all in that area is so greasy. So that's what happens. But we're gonna put the new one in. Here's the new one. Ta-da! And keep in mind, this has splines. So those splines goes into the transmission, and you'll have to feel the spline sitting properly. And once you feel it, and all you have to do is just tap it in and push it, and this little, let me see if you can see that there, see that C-clip, that snap ring will lock it in place so it doesn't pop out when you're rolling or moving. So let's see if I can set you all up again. Transmission hole. So I'm gonna go in there and move this caliper out of the way. Alright. So there you go. First half is in. I'm just gonna keep twisting it back and forth until I start to feel it. Once I feel that it's already in, lined up, what I'm gonna do is just push it in like so. You know how plunger works in the toilet bowl when it gets clogged? Like that action. Alright, try not to pull it too hard, because then it'll separate again from the transmission. Just pull it a little and push like that. You push harder rather than pulling harder. Oh, see that happen? It comes off. And there. See, you just gotta make sure it's flush. And that should be it. Now we're back in the front. This time This time we're gonna put this inside our hub assembly. See, we'll put it in here, put it in there, and again they also have splines and they line up in here. So once you put it in, and if you want to replace your pads, you just, let me show it to you anyway. So yeah, that's the one side, and the other side is right here. Same concept. Put some lubricant up here and up here, because that's the area where it sits. Don't put lubricant here, because that's the friction surface. Otherwise your car will not stop, it will just slip. So install it like so. There you go. You just need your pads too. So, but this time I'm just gonna put my brake calipers in. To tighten this without a tool, I recommend do the same thing. You lock this, put a screwdriver and tighten it. That has to be really tight. Once you got it tight, remember, put a notch so that it doesn't unwind while you're driving down the road, so it stays in place. There it is. Little notch should do the trick. And put the tires back on and you're done. Show you one trick. When you're putting wheels and you're working on the ground, try to sit flat. Alright, sit flat. Put your legs between the tires, alright, so that you have some assistance lifting the wheels and the tires, because sometimes they get heavy. So just put your arm on your leg and lift it and catch it with your leg, and then adjust it. And this way you don't put a strain in your back so much, and you're using arms and legs to help out carry the weight. So little trick like that you learn over time, because you tend to work smarter, like they said, and not harder. In reality, without a tool, you want to snug it first, and then you put it on the ground and you tighten it. Alright, with a tool, considering that the lugs are, you know what, I have something to replace this with. I'm just gonna go replace it. But anyway, once you tighten this, spin the wheel, and you should not hear any noise. Otherwise, if you hear some noise, you might have bent something. And just look over things and see what happens and what's making the noise. Shake it side to side like this, not too much, but just a little, enough for you to play, to feel the play. Same thing up and down, pressure here, in and out. See if you have any play, because if you do, then something is loose. All right, and that's it. We're done. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and you learned something. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Till next time.